Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about fantasy tropes, especially when it comes to writing. And it could also come to character creation if you're playing a role playing game. These are things that have become stereotypes. They're crutches, especially if you're writing. You should really not be using these ever, honestly. And if you do, you need to be careful on how you do use them. So we're gonna just have a few examples of things that are like overused, overdone, really should not be doing them anymore. The first one is the everyone knows that blank can't blank until now. You're writing a character, and in your world, dwarfs can't cast spells. Magic eludes them until one young dwarf realized he could cast magic. No, no, don't do that. Do not do that, especially for your main character. Now, if you've written a couple books in a world where dwarves can't do magic, and suddenly you find one, let's say in the third or fourth book, who can, and it's kind of a world-shaking event, that's completely fine. Do not do that for your first book. Do not do that for your first character. Just don't. Another one is the prophecy said that blank would not happen until blank was born. Now, blank has been born, and the prophecy will be fulfilled. Again, very cliche, very tired. It's quite honestly boring. If I am in Barnes and Noble and I'm looking at books because I'm trying to get up a new book, if I look on the back and the back has some kind of version of that, I honestly put it down. It's like, no, no. Prophecies, they're crutches, honestly. It's a cliche and it's a crutch as a writer. You need to come up with something better, something different. If you want to do it where it's not the main focus of the story, that's completely fine. But making it where the main focus of the story is this prophecy being fulfilled or the hero trying to thwart the prophecy, no, no, it's cliche. There's a reason it is. The next one is one that honestly, every time I read it, it cracks me up. It's the chosen one, which is a version of the prophecy, but it is its own cliche. You know, so and so grew up very unassuming on a farm or in the streets or was a lowly clerk or was a valet for a night until one day they realized that they could do blank. It's no, again, please don't do this. These are all awful, awful cliches. Awful. They do not belong in writing. They just don't. I mean, like I said, if you want to have it where you've written a few books in a series and let's say fifth book in, right? There's a character born who, like they discover this character and they realize this character is the long lost heir to the broken throne of something, that's a little bit different. But making it like the main focus, the main character who has this problem is cliche. So that's for writing. It also applies for when you're making role playing characters. It really does. I mean, you really should try to avoid cliches when you're making role playing characters. For example, if you are playing Dungeons and Dragons and you're like, I want to play a drow, your dungeon master will go, okay. And if you say, I want to play a ranger, your dungeon master is probably going to throw a book at you. Please don't. Drizzt Do'Urden, very interesting character, right? Very unique when he came out. Now it seems like every person who has ever read a Drizzt book, an R.A. Salvatore book, is like, that's the character I want to play. I want to play a drow ranger. But he doesn't have two scimitars. He has two maces. Totally different. No, same thing. Please don't do that. Another cliche is the stupid half-orc barbarian. Again, cliche, it's been done to death. Now, the best thing you can do if you want to do these things is subvert them, twist them, make them unique, make them your own. If you want to play a half-orc barbarian, maybe play a half-orc barbarian who's actually got a charisma of 16. And for those min-maxers out there, this isn't going to make any sense. So for those min-maxers, I don't know why you're watching a video about character creation or how to avoid cliches and standard fantasy tropes, because you really don't care about the story, quite honestly. If you're a min-maxer, you care about how strong your character is. So for everybody else, the subversion is an interesting technique to use when you're creating a character. Let's say, like I said, you make a half-orc barbarian. You have him have a charisma 16. He has a soft spot for poetry, right? Sure, when combat is going around, he lifts up his two-handed axe and he wades in and he's slicing and dicing. But afterwards, he pens a sonnet to the honor of his fallen foes while gazing at the sunset. I know some of you may be going, that sounds a little silly. But is it? It's different, all right? And that's the key. You want your characters to be memorable, whether it's characters you're writing or characters you're playing. You want them to be unique. You don't want them to be the same thing. If somebody takes a role-plays a session with you and goes, oh, you're just a standard dwarven fighter, that's really sad. Sad that you can't figure out something that makes your character different. I mean, that's the best part of role-playing. I actually was talking to a gentleman, and he was like, yeah, and he's like, I'd love to play a necromancer. And he's like, I don't have a lot of imagination, but, like, necromancers are evil. I'm like, they don't have to be. He goes, yeah, they are. They raise the dead. Really? What if they ask permission? And his eyes got big, and he's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, picture a necromancer who, instead of being chaotic evil, is true neutral, maybe even neutral good. Hear me out. When they're about to do battle, let's say with a marauding band of goblins, he finds victims that the goblins have already killed. He uses a speak with dead, and he asks them, he goes, will you help me defend the town so your relatives and loved ones and friends and family do not suffer the same fate as you? And they say, yes, you may. He raises dead, summons ghouls, zombies, skeletons, and leads them in a fight against the goblins. See? Something different. You don't have to fall back on cliches to actually make interesting characters. You can actually make interesting characters. You just have to take a little bit of time. And I know I've heard people go, well, I don't have a lot of imagination. It's like, if you want to role play, you got imagination. Because I hate to break it to you, but you're going to be envisioning a story that takes place just inside everybody else's and yours collective heads. There's no video to watch. There's no buttons to press on a controller. It's all in here. So therefore, anybody who role plays and says, well, I don't have much of imagination, you have to. You do. You may not be creative. Those are different things, but you do have an imagination. But even players who aren't creative, a lot of times, Dungeon Master's Guides or Player's Handbook will have like a traits table. And if you're stumped for inspiration, roll on the traits table. Just see what comes up. Try to make it work. Don't try to say no automatically. Try to see how it happens. Now, there are some exceptions. If you are making a half-orc barbarian and you're stuck for traits and you roll pacifist, that does not fit anything at all. I mean, if you want to make a half-orc priest who is a pacifist, that sounds great. That's an interesting dichotomy. This big, what some consider brooding brutal character, and instead he does not take a life. That's a twist. So, that's it for this video. I want to thank you all if you did watch it. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you are a first-time subscriber, welcome. I haven't made a video in a couple weeks because I've been busy. I got a new job, but I would like to keep making videos at least once every couple weeks just to keep everything going. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later.